Hi, this is Solar Man on Solar Man Life. Now, the next one is full of faith. Full of faith. Now, what I call faith is confidence. And I have a lot of confidence, okay? Now, where does confidence in yourself and also in the mission that or the purpose that you want to fulfill come from? Now, for me as a Christian, I know that come from God. All right, and I know that I'm called to really help poor people all over the world live a comfortable but sustainable life, and I would make a huge impact on the world by my creation, my invention, like the turbine for heat, for generating electricity, like air conditioner, and also like using this to generate water from dirty or even from seawater. In a very sustainable way. So it meets my three purposes, which is energy, and then I also protect the environment, and also I have to educate the poor people in the poor countries how to use these things. Now, full of faith involve besides just getting your statement of purpose from, in my case, God. In your case, you even if you don't believe in God, you can get it through what I call reasoning. Reasoning is what gives people confidence. Now, I build these things. I have absolutely no doubt that these things will change the world. No doubt that these things will sell by the millions. Why is that? Because I went through far more reasoning, far more, aloha moment to say, hey, this is really the solution to the problem I have been looking at. And so reasoning gives you confidence. It's very much like if you say, do you believe in general relativity? Well, you don't need to believe. You just need to reason through it. And you reason through it, and you think there's no incorrectness. And it's also confirmed by experiment that would be, you will be confident. Now, Einstein is very confident in his general theory of relativity. So the story goes like Einstein spent 10 years from almost like 1905 to 1915 when he, close to the end of that, discovered the general theory of relativity about gravitation, the curvature of space-time by means of a mass. Now, that was all in theory. There was no confirmation of the theory. He did calculate the precession of the planet Mercury that was different from what was predicted by Sir Isaac Newton. But what happened was that he was so confident in it. And so I think a year later, when Sir Edgington of England discovered that light did bend around the sun according to what Einstein predicted, which is twice as much as what any other theory would predict. And in fact, in Newton, that it won't bend at all. So somebody asked Einstein, what if Professor or Sir Edgington did not verify that? And he was very confident. He said, well, poor Lord Edgington, but my theory is still correct. Because he has confidence in the correctness of his reasoning that, is too beautiful and too logical to be incorrect. And he says, subtle is the Lord, which one of the, I think a book he wrote, Subtle is the Lord, and it was become a title of a book that was written about Einstein, is basically that, there is a certain beauty in simplicity and generality, and a very different perspective, which is the perspective that it's not so much two things attract each other at a faraway distance by instantaneous angle. What you have is that you would also try to that a mass curve the space time around it, and then the other object, which is Mercury would be traveling through that curved space-time. So it's not instantaneous action at a distance, all right? So that's important. So full of faith is full of confidence. And you have to build your confidence by believing it. I'm not saying false confidence. I'm not saying that you're full of yourself. Confidence is built by reasoning. It's not even built in feeling, okay? Feeling is reflect your confidence. It's not the actual thing, which is confidence in facts, the confidence in your logical reasoning, okay? So full of faith. Now, full of love, again, is another very important drive for the process of invention. Now, for me, why do I want to help people live a comfortable but sustainable life? It's because I love people. Now, if you look at some of the great invention in history, for example, Archimedes invented the catapult. It was the love of Greece at the city of Syracuse that he was trying to prevent the Romans through boats, the warships coming in to kill people. He ended up, when he was the city was sacked by the Romans, Archimedes was doing his research, and the Roman soldier came and then killed him. And he was still doing his research. He was so driven by the need to really defend the city for the love of the people there, so that he can defend against the Roman soldier, the Roman Empire, from overrunning Syracuse in the Mediterranean. So I think it's important that you're driven by love. You're driven by solving the pain of humans. For example, Alexander Graham Bell is a speech therapist. He's so-called professor in Boston, and he was teaching those deaf and dumb kids how to speak. And his mother is deaf and dumb, and his wife is also deaf. And so there is a burning desire to deal with this problem of not being able to speak. And so he was very much into speech research, and so he ended up, inventing the telephone, and in essence also the microphone. So he was very much into speech research that meet the need of his wife and also meet the need of his mother. So necessity is the mother of all invention, and you probably know that. And so we would need to kind of be sure that we look at, just be very focused on people and ask, what are they suffering from, and how can I invent something to really help them? And I think the biggest invention are those that saves life. And I'm very much into that, because if I create solar seawater desalination, I would be saving people's life, because people die without water. People die without air conditioning or refrigeration because it's too hot. Old people die from it, and refrigeration, air conditioning. People die. The older people can't stand all that heat stuff, and they would just become sick, or they can't be in cold weather. So air conditioning, water, and energy, of course, saves lives. So it's very important. Full of love is what is driving, become a motivating force to really solve the problem. Looking at my life is limited. I don't, and still, like Archimedes, he was about to be killed, and he's still doing research. All right, so that's a driving force. Love of people. So the last one is full of hope. Now, hope is seeing the future and persisting, struggling to fulfill that hope that has not materialized. Things that we say hope, faith is a thing, to be able to see the things that is unseen, and also hope is the substantiation, faith is a substantiation of things hoped for. So you hope for something, you use your faith or your confidence to drive you towards that goal. All right? And hope It's very important because one of the basic problems that our young people face these days is that they don't have hope. You know, everything is instantaneous. If I have a headache, I pop an aspirin. And if I'm not, I'm depressed, then I take antidepressant. And if I'm not happy, then I, take ecstasy or whatever. But except that ecstasy put you on the high, and then it make you crash later on. So that go back to my earlier problem of basically hedonism always resulted in pain, and the pursuit of rigor, or the pursuit of, in a sense, pain, all always bring you on a high. So that's called delayed gratification. You delay the reward so that you would focus your effort towards that thing. So hope is what you need. We need to train ourselves in delayed gratification. When Einstein spent 10 years to discover the theory of general relativity, he literally got burned out. He actually had to, just rest for, in a while because he was so totally burned out. And when Isaac Newton wrote his Principia Mathematica, he was so burned out at the end that he literally, had a mental breakdown. And a lot of people who, for the purpose of achieving the purpose, what they are hoping to see, would work so hard, would suffer through the process. As the intensity of your thinking and the intensity of both the amount of time you spend on the problem. Like Einstein said this, it's not that because I'm smarter, but I do work harder. I spend a lot more time on solving the problem, as much as 10 years to solve a single problem of how mass curve space time. So hope allow you to be persistent. I have a whole bunch of P's, right? I call pleasure is a P word. You need to delay the gratification. So you would anticipate the pleasure that you would have. And at the end of the day, you do need to reward yourself with the pleasure. And very often the eureka moment is the reward itself. It's internalized gratification through the discovery, the insight, or the shift of perspective that give you intense pleasure. Then you also need to have perseverance. Perseverance is basically, you don't get the answer. You are very frustrated. And that happened to me all the time. I do an experiment and the turbine turned out didn't compress the air, and the electric motor didn't turn as it should. I have to persevere. All you need to do is to say, hey, tomorrow is another day, and you can overcome. From my point of view, all problems are solvable. Okay, so you have to have that perspective. According to, again, quoting, Andrew Carnegie, that all problems, no problems is impossible. All problems, from my point of view, all problems are solvable. It's a solvable problem, all right? Now, maybe there's an unsolvable problem, but the unsolvable problem usually is that you didn't pose the right problem, so you got the wrong problem, so it becomes unsolvable. But if you pose the right problem, all problems are solvable, except those problems that are not the right problem. Of course, that sounds like self-defeating, but it's not, because most of our life is in finding the right problem. So the problem, persistence, perseverance, and pleasure, all that stuff. Just coming back to the first point is, you need to delay gratification. You need to have a very long-term perspective. You need to persevere, and the way to do it is through rigorous exercise, both of your mind and also of your body. Okay, so that is what I want to deliver today to you, so that you can learn some of the things, not just about invention, but also about life. All right, so you need all these things, and let me just summarize again. The secret, 7 secrets of a successful inventor: be happy, be curious, be imaginative, full of purpose, full of